And so I think what it is mostly the unwillingness to change, that whole thing about where people simply get stuck. We're creatures of habit. And to try something new, to try some new behavior, some new way of talking is foreign. And we get out of our comfort zone. So that for me is, it's not a question of, I sure don't want to change. It's a question of feeling awkward and, you know, I might look silly, it might not come out right. The second thing, and I was telling somebody, I've seldom met with a family-owned business in which alcohol addiction is not a problem. Alcohol addiction is still the biggest problem in all our organizations. Lots of data on that. In this family, Jay, who was standing in for the firstborn daughter, the daughter is a recovering alcoholic. And so is living with the person who's not recovered. He's still a practicing alcoholic, and so she's made some real gains. And the firstborn daughter had a nervous breakdown before they separated, and she said it was a breakup. She said that because she had a mental collapse, she was really able to face her addiction and was able to make some changes in her life. So when I asked people in this family, after we got this together, and I asked them what this felt like, if the second daughter could, or the first daughter could come out here, she came right around. She came right around like this and talked straight to these three people. And she was really able to do that because of that she had really gone through some pain. She had learned from that, and she'd had some professional help and like that. And so she began to say how it was. Because her husband was alcoholic and these people were having a lot of trouble, they were bought out. And it was really painful for this daughter. And so she really made some connections here. So that's kind of one thing that happened. The addiction, though, does really affect this family. One of the rules of addictive families, or families that are dealing with alcoholism, is don't talk about it. And don't show feelings. You know, and in fact, don't feel. And so to work with this family would have required much more work. Carl had spent some time working with them with the financial estate planning, but I think I was the first person of my ilk, first person with a family dynamics background that had ever met with this whole family. And so it was really new territory. And I only had a day and a half with them. But we did make some progress, so I think that's all I want to say about that and the addictions, Carl. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, I would like to ask you, as you look at this family, and you're seeing the accountant, a longtime friend of the father, what do you suppose is going on in the minds of, where are those two boys that are your sons? Yeah, get off the stage and get over there where you belong. You don't belong on the stage. Assuming that there's a death of their mother or the death of their stepfather, who's going to represent those two boys over there? Who do you think is going to represent those two boys over there? The attorney for the father? What do you suppose you're going to force those boys into doing? Who would like to be another attorney? Well, sir, would you like to be an attorney for just a moment? Yeah, would you go on over there for just a moment? And so if, in fact, this gentleman here is going to represent these two boys, what is going to happen to the whole issue of relationships when they go out and hire their own attorney? Is that going to bring that family together? Obviously not. What could be done to avoid that scenario? One of the things that could be done is to have some kind of dialogue with you, Father. And could I ask you, the father and the mother, would you come up here for just a moment? Here. Where's this come on? I'll just bring this over here. Let me ask you, Father. Now, you're the stepfather of these two sons here. You have just exited as a result of a divorce, or not as a result of not a divorce this time, as a result of a death or as a result of a stroke, and you do not have your mental capacity. So with that background, who do you think that attorney that they hired is going to represent their best interests?
No.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
Whose best interests? Who's he going to represent? He's going to represent the boys, right?
Well, that's what he was hired to do.
Yes. And at what expense? At whose expense?
My expense.
At your expense,
Right.
and your children's expense.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk to the mother of these two boys here. Do you think the action that your sons took to hire an attorney to protect their interest is warranted?
I think it's only fair. They have a right to part of this estate, and if that's the only way they're going to get it, then they need to.
So if they have a minority interest in stock or partnership interest, what is that worth to the family? And how is the attorney going to determine the valuation of that minority interest? And who in this room wants a minority interest of a closely held company that historically doesn't pay out any dividends? Who wants that interest? And how are you going to determine its value? Now, we have yet another, the firstborn daughter's spouse over here. He was involved in the business, and they bought him out. Were you happy with the price you got?
No.
Yeah, he's not happy with the price he got. Are you happy with the price that you paid to buy your son-in-law out?
I thought it was more than satisfactory.
And you thought it was less than satisfactory?
Yep.
Is it any wonder we have problems with families? There is no way to reconcile this in many instances other than bringing in legal advisors who represent factions, and then what happens, it just spreads out. I mean, it doesn't bring people together. So an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. And this family now really understands what the issues are. And in the solution part of our program, we're going to talk about how we resolved some of those issues in a way that was satisfactory to the sons without them, in all due respect to you, Counselor, without paying you money, and really bringing this family together. And I'm just wondering if anybody has any questions about the... Yes, sir. Excellent question. Are there some key people in this, or can it run itself? This business is the kind of business that this is an ag-related business, and this is a supplier there's a supplier, and that supplier has a lot of confidence in this gentleman. And would you come up here? The supplier has a lot of confidence in this son-in-law. But that's all the supplier. The supplier doesn't have any confidence in the rest of this family, okay? And they're insisting that there be an agreement between, if this family wants to continue operating, they're going to have the goodwill of this supplier. Now the issue here is, what would you do if you've got a father who has utmost confidence in the son-in-law, and because of a personal relationship, where's the daughter? Where's your wife at? Yeah, the wife is over here. How do you deal, and she works in the business as well, and yet they're not sharing the same home. Can you operate a business successfully? And do you think the supplier knows that? Do you think the supplier knows what's happening? Yes. And what impact will there be then, and what choice do you have? You have a son-in-law that has the capacity to run the business, that's known, but he's sleeping around. And your daughter is very unhappy. A lot more than little?
Oh, a lot more than little.
A lot more than little. And here you are torn between a father who wants to run his business, and he has a person that can do it and does it well, and a daughter who says, how can you have this person, this animal, running this business? And how can I be working in this business? Is there a dilemma here?